Sanjava, welcome to Whisky and Synths. This is the #1 channel that blends whiskey drinking with music making. Congratulations, you've just found your whiskey-fueled music production life coach. So in today's video, welcome along, we are going to have a look at the main differences between Gen Z and Millennial music producers, all right? And I think this will be a bit of a laugh to do, but also give us an insight into how far music production has come over the last 2 or so decades. So let's get into having a look at those reasons, and we're gonna look at the 5 main differences. Whiskey. Before we start, I just wanted to offer you a free gift. Whether you're a Millennial or Gen Z producer, quite often we get stuck in 8-bar hell when you've got a loop and you can't finish it. So down below, I've got a free 10-step, 10-day guide, and it only requires 20 minutes per day that'll get you finishing your track. So if that sounds like good to you, 20 minutes a day, 10 days, 10 steps, to get from 8-bar hell to finished track heaven, click down below and I'll send out that free guide to you as a free gift that I really hope is going to help loads of music producers out there, no matter what generation you're from. All right, first difference between Gen Z and Millennial producers is I think Gen Z music producers have been learning it for way longer, and it was easier to access and learn. You know, back in the day as a Millennial, you were lucky if your home computer could run Sims and MSN Messenger at the same time. But you know, as a Gen Z, there's a good chance you might have had an iPad stuck in front of your face since the age of 5. And if you were inclined to music production, you've got GarageBand in there and more. So I think the tools being more accessible to people when they're really young really is a big difference. For example, you know, you could be a 21-year-old Gen Z music producer who's had 10 years of experience already. And I know things got better for Millennials as things got on, but when you were 10 in a Millennial, man, some people had access to that kind of thing, but it was not as widely spread. So I think that was a cool head start that some Gen Z music producers took advantage of, so good on them. So difference 2 between Gen Z and Millennial producers is I think that for Millennials, it was harder to learn. You know, YouTube wasn't really around, the internet, there was some blogs and that, but if you wanted to learn music production, you know, you had to go down to the bookstore or the library and get a big ass textbook like this that was written by some dull sound engineer who had no good writing skills. And it was really, loads of text, loads to be honest, this one's all right that I'm giving an example of, but dude, it was the only way. Whereas Gen Z producers, you've had it great. You've had charismatic YouTubers help you along the way. You know, you've had all that kind of content available, which I think really helps a lot in learning something. If you can find someone who's teaching it in a charismatic, fun way that you connect with. So I think that has helped a lot of Gen Z producers, but also, you know, it helped Millennials, but I guess Gen Zs have had it since they were young, which is awesome. So, am I right so far? Let me know in the comments about what I've said so far. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? What's your experience? Try and keep the comments positive. Be interested in whether you think it's easier now or harder. Let me know in the comments below. So this is a big one. I think for Gen Z producers, equipment is much more affordable and accessible, and it's better than ever as well. I know everyone was on about vintage synths and that, but the reality for a Millennial was if you were wanting to get a synth or a drum machine, you know, it was the virtual analog revival at that point. It was just giant workstation keyboards that were so dull with a little screen on them, and they were supposed to be state of the art. Or, you know, they were things I mean, I had a microcorg. I think every keyboard player and synth production person who's a Millennial had a microcorg, and they're awesome, but they're actually kind of hard to program, and they sounded all right, and everyone's used the presets anyway. I do love the microKORG, but it was tricky to program and it was just everywhere. And it was all virtual analog, virtual this, and it was all right. But now you've got the choice between digital, virtual, or you've got amazing plugins, or like even like I've got the Korg Monologue there. It's pretty cheap for this mad kind of synth that's like kind of analog and raw and powerful. I love that thing, and it's pretty cheap. And even then, you've got Behringer stuff, which I know splits opinion, but basically getting gear as a music producer, if you're a Gen Z, I think has got a lot better that millennials didn't have when they were growing up. So number 4 in the difference between Gen Z producers and millennial producers is I actually think the gear buying experience is better as well. Like back for millennials, if you wanted something, like not many people got it off the internet back then. I'm sure some people did, but you'd go to your guitar shop and everyone there was into guitars. I mean, the indie revival, I loved, and was a big thing. But if you're into production, you don't know what you're trying to get. There was no YouTube tutorials or gear demos like there is now. You know, you maybe read a review in a magazine which was mega biased, and then you went to the guitar shop and the person there is a guitarist and they don't know anything about it, you don't know anything about it, so the whole buying experience is like, oh, I don't know, unless you're really lucky and lived in a big city and there was a great synth nerd who worked at a guitar shop or something. But the whole buying experience is way better these days, I think, because you can watch loads of videos about it. You can go online, and I do think that people in like the music shops are way more skilled these days as well and aware of what's possible. I mean, I've got a funny one where I wanted the drum machine. My favorite band were LCD Sound System, and I loved 80s music and combined guitars and synths and all that. I was like, I'll get a drum machine. I loved the Beastie Boys too. So I'll get a drum machine. I want to learn all that. And we went to this music shop in a small Highland town in Scotland. And I remember just asking the guy, you got a drum machine? He had this, had the one up there that's framed on the wall. See it up there? Yeah, James, my bro, got me that. But basically, I remember asking the guy, I was like, oh, does it have that hand clap sound? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And then I was like, how does it work? He's like, oh, I don't really know. So I think the gear buying experience has definitely improved. So that's a good thing for Gen Z producers. You've had that most of your life, and millennials, it's good we've got it now. And difference number 5 between Gen Z and millennial producers is I think DAWs have got a lot better. I mean, I remember like being in high school and my mate, we were quite into music and recording. I had a keyboard, he played guitar, and he was like, oh, I've got a cracked copy of like Cakewalk or something. I know that's around and that's probably a good DAW these days, but it was like, oh, how do we even use this thing? And obviously probably loaded with viruses and that. Sorry, mum and dad, if it infected your PC. I just remember it being so hard to use. And then we got Sonar, which was another DAW, and we kind of learned how to use it, but it was just so, So I think now the DAWs have got better. They're a little bit easier to use, although still a lot in depth. And I just think they've improved a lot. Their functionality, they're sort of, back then, look at some of these screenshots. It was just like soul destroyed. And then I love Ableton. I know Ableton still looks a little bit utilitarian and severe. And you know, it's made in Berlin, so come on. But I love it. But a lot of DAWs now are more visually appealing and user-friendly and stuff. So I think they have got better. So that's something Gen Zs have probably grown up with. But millennials are finally like, oh, thank goodness for that. So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this video about Gen Z vs millennial producers, what's the differences. Hopefully it's been a laugh, and also hopefully it's been a bit of a journey through history, showing you how things have changed, and I think got better with music production. If you have it as a hobby or a passion or want to make it a career, it's actually easier than ever, more accessible than ever, and I think that's a good thing. The more people making music, the more cool ideas are going to be out there as well, which is quite exciting, yeah. So thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment. If you hated this episode, let me know. Let me know, like, what do you think? Are there any big differences? Do you have an advantage if you're Gen Z? Or things like that. It'd be fun to hear in the comments. But try and keep it positive, nothing too crazy in there. We want to create a positive kind of environment in Whisky Synths comments. And remember, I've got a free gift. If you're still watching, thank you. And you know, get your free gift below for watching to the end. It's a 10-step, 10-day guide for finishing your tracks. If you're an 8-bar loop hell Fast forward over 10 days, you'll be finished that track if you follow the steps in the guide. It's only 20 minutes a day, so I'm sure you can do that. In less than 2 weeks, that track's gonna be finished, and you can fit that around your day job, whatever. That guide's a free gift down below. Click the link and I'll send that to you, and it'd be nice to keep in touch. So everyone, thanks for watching. Enjoy your whiskeys. Enjoy your music making, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Whisky.